Jerusalem, a city that has been destroyed twice, besieged 23 times, attacked 52 times, and captured and recaptured 44 times. And yet, after thousands of years, it remains the spiritual heart of over 3 billion people around the world. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam trace their sacred steps back to this very ground. Each belief opens a different passage into a maze of spiritual depth, woven through with history, hope, and human longing. How can one small city be so holy to 3 major world religions that they are willing to go to war over it? The answer isn't simple. It isn't found in modern headlines or political sound bites. It's buried deep within the city's stones, in layers of faith and conquest that have built up over millennia. To understand the conflict of today, we must peel back these layers, one by one. Stay with us and uncover the mysteries hidden deep within the soul of this ancient land. Our story begins over 3,000 years ago in the Judean mountains. Here, a warrior poet named David conquered a fortress and declared it the capital of his kingdom. This was more than a political act. It was a divine appointment, transforming Jerusalem into the sacred center of his people by bringing the Ark of the Covenant to the city. It was David's son, Solomon, who would cement Jerusalem's holy status forever. Around 960 BCE, he built a magnificent temple on a high plateau known as Mount Moriah. This was not just a house of worship. In ancient Jewish belief, it was the earthly dwelling of God among humankind. The first temple became the heart of Jewish spiritual life, the sole place for the sacred rituals that connected the nation to God. For centuries, Jerusalem was the nation's spiritual and national heart. But this golden age was not to last. In 586 BCE, the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar II, conquered Jerusalem, burned the temple to the ground, and forced the city's elite into exile. The destruction of the temple was a trauma etched into the soul of the Jewish people. Yet, even in exile, the connection never faded. It became an object of intense longing, crystallized in the words of Psalm 137. "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill." This hope was realized around 538 BCE, when the Persian king Cyrus the Great allowed the exiled Jews to return and rebuild their temple. Completed in 516 BCE, the Second Temple restored the rituals that once again centered Jewish life on the Temple Mount. It reached its greatest magnificence under King Herod in the 1st century BCE, an architectural marvel in the Roman Empire. In Jewish tradition, the Temple Mount, or Har Habayit, is the holiest site in Judaism, the focal point of the past, and the prophesied center for a future redemption. This era, however, also ended in fire. In the year 70 CE, Roman legions under Titus destroyed Jerusalem and its holy temple for the second time. All that remained was a section of the outer retaining wall. This remnant, the Western Wall, has become an eternal symbol of Jewish resilience and faith. A place where prayers are whispered, tears are shed, and hopes are tucked between the stones like letters to the heavens. For nearly 2 millennia, the prayer, "Next year in Jerusalem," affirmed the belief that Jerusalem was, and always would be, Judaism's eternal capital. As one chapter of Jerusalem's history was closing, the seeds of a new faith were taking root in its soil. During the final decades of the Second Temple period, a Jewish preacher from Galilee, Jesus of Nazareth, began a ministry that would forever alter the spiritual destiny of Jerusalem. For Christians, the city's importance is tied to the final, world-changing events of Jesus' life. The New Testament Gospels describe his triumphant entry into the city and the Last Supper, a Passover meal shared with his disciples. From there, he went to a garden called Gethsemane, where he was arrested. Condemned to death, he carried his cross along a path now known as the Via Dolorosa, the Way of Sorrows, to a rocky outcrop called Golgotha, where he was crucified. According to Christian belief, his body was laid in a nearby tomb, and 3 days later, he rose from the dead. It is this event, the resurrection, that is the very foundation of Christian faith. For centuries, Jerusalem became the ultimate destination for Christian pilgrims. This was solidified in the 4th century CE when the Roman Emperor Constantine's mother, Helena, traveled to the city and identified the site of Jesus' crucifixion and burial. Over this spot, Constantine commissioned one of Christendom's most sacred shrines, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. This sprawling structure, believed to encompass both Golgotha and the tomb of Christ, is the most sacred site for many Christians worldwide. Under Byzantine rule, the city became a Christian capital, but this history also has its darkest chapters. In 1099, the First Crusaders captured Jerusalem, slaughtering many of its Muslim and Jewish inhabitants in a wave of religious violence. Today, Palestinian Christians, a community tracing its roots to the first followers of Jesus, see themselves as living stones, a human bridge to the ancient origins of their faith in this deeply troubled city. From the deserts of Arabia, a new prophet and a new revelation would once again transform the city's destiny. In the 7th century CE, the prophet Muhammad began preaching the message of Islam. From its very beginning, Jerusalem, known in Arabic as Al-Quds, the Holy, held a special reverence. In the earliest days of Islam, Muslims prayed in the direction of Jerusalem, linking the new faith to the long line of prophets associated with the city. The cornerstone of Islam's sacred claim comes from a miraculous event known as the Isra and Mi'raj, the night journey and ascension. According to the Quran, around the year 621 CE, the Prophet Muhammad was miraculously transported from Mecca to the farthest mosque in Jerusalem. Upon arriving at the site of the former Jewish temples, he is said to have led all the prophets of the past in prayer. From this very spot, a rock on the Temple Mount, the prophet ascended through the 7 heavens into the presence of God. This profound experience sealed Jerusalem's status as the 3rd holiest city in Islam, after Mecca and Medina. A few years after the prophet's death, the armies of Islam conquered Jerusalem. On the Temple Mount, now known to Muslims as the Haram al-Sharif, or Noble Sanctuary, they built 2 of Islam's most iconic structures. The first was the magnificent Dome of the Rock, its radiant golden dome standing like a beacon of eternal faith over the stone from which the prophet is believed to have ascended. Adjacent to it, they built the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the farthest mosque, named in honor of the Quranic journey. For Muslims, building on this site was an act of consecration and continuity, asserting that Islam was the inheritor of the monotheistic legacy of the prophets revered by both Jews and Christians. The site became a powerful symbol of Islam's connection to a shared prophetic history. For centuries, these 3 faiths coexisted in a delicate balance. But in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, 2 powerful forces, modern Zionism and Palestinian Arab nationalism, set themselves on a collision course. After World War I, Britain took control of Palestine. As Jewish immigration increased, clashes with the Arab population grew. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a partition plan to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. designating Jerusalem as a corpus separatum, an international city. The plan was accepted by Jewish leaders, but rejected by Arab leaders. In 1948, the war that followed Israel's declaration of independence left Jerusalem a divided city for the first time. Israel controlled the west, while Jordan controlled the east, including the Old City and its holy sites. This lasted for 19 years. Then came the Six-Day War of 1967. In a decisive victory, Israel captured East Jerusalem from Jordan. For the first time in nearly 2 millennia, the entire city was under Jewish control, and Israeli paratroopers reached the Western Wall. Israel then annexed East Jerusalem, declaring the complete and united city its eternal capital, an act never recognized by the majority of the international community. This set the stage for the modern conflict, a struggle fought over demographics, land, and control of sacred space. The most volatile flashpoint is the Temple Mount / Haram al-Sharif. Israel allowed the Islamic Waqf, a religious trust under Jordanian custodianship, to retain administrative control, while Israel maintained security. This uneasy status quo allows non-Muslims to visit, but not to pray. By 2026, this arrangement is under immense strain as Jewish extremists, sometimes with backing from elements in the Israeli government, increasingly challenge the prayer ban, leading to heightened tensions.
Unified congregations.
For Palestinians, the goal remains an independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital. However, Israeli settlement construction in East Jerusalem is widely seen as an obstacle to peace. The conflict has been marked by devastating escalations, such as the Hamas attack of October 7, 2023, and the subsequent war in Gaza, which by early 2026 had led to tens of thousands of Palestinian deaths and a catastrophic humanitarian emergency. Stalled peace efforts and intensifying restrictions, including checkpoints and hundreds of banishment orders preventing Palestinians from entering Al-Aqsa, have deepened the despair. In 2024, Israel's Knesset overwhelmingly passed a resolution formally rejecting the establishment of a Palestinian state, calling it an existential danger, further dimming hopes for a two-state solution. If you found this journey meaningful, please like the video and subscribe. Every response is a source of motivation that helps us keep sharing more extraordinary stories, and we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe is the biggest obstacle to peace in Jerusalem? We return to where we began, to this city of paradox. It is where Jews believe the divine presence once dwelled and will again, the anchor of a 3,000-year-old identity. It is where Christians believe their Savior was crucified and resurrected to offer salvation to the world. And it is where Muslims believe their prophet journeyed to heaven, confirming the city's sacred status for a third of humanity. These are not abstract claims. They are living beliefs that shape national identities and define the meaning of existence for billions. The conflict is not merely over territory, but over theology. It is a war of narratives where three profound stories, each rooted in the same sacred ground, find themselves in an irreconcilable collision. The ultimate question remains: can a city with such a divine and divided past ever hope to find a peaceful human future?